I'm Jim Kircher. A couple of stories tonight about a couple of really good ideas. One of them was started here and it's spreading around the country. LaunchCode began in St. Louis a few years ago to help match people with computer skills to companies that need people with computer skills. And we'll get to that. But first, a story about an idea that came to a guy about 25 years ago. His name is Dean Kamen, and he invented the Segway. And he wanted to do something that would make science and technology as exciting to young people as sports. And I'd say his first robotics competition has gone a long way to doing just that. As part of our American graduate education coverage, we went to see the first robotics in action, and I mean in action. The first robotics competition started in 1998 with 28 teams in a gymnasium in Hartford, Connecticut. This year, some 400,000 students participated in the first programs, and the national championship, really international, was held in the Dome downtown. Thousands of kids, hundreds of robots competed. Every year, the game, the field, the challenges change, so last year's robot won't do. Several teams from St. Louis area schools made it to the finals: Ladue, Westminster Christian, North County Tech, and University City. All of this is, as Dean Kamen envisioned, challenging and fun. And there's now a generation of FIRST Robotics alumni.
You get real-world experience with this. You work with professionals, you work in deadlines, timelines, on budgets. It prepares you more going through this than anything else.
They shoot and they score. 5 points for red.
You need teams and adult advisors because you need different skills. The design of the robot, the construction, the tactics, the controlling during the competition. But there's something here you don't see. As with just about everything else in our world, somebody had to write the code. Teenagers were writing the instructions that made all of these robots work to various degrees of success. In fact, before a team member takes control of the robot, every competition starts with 30 seconds of the robot performing some autonomous, pre-programmed action designed to gain some early advantage. Now, not all of the kids who know how to write code are going to go on to get computer science degrees. They might not even be going to college. So even with the skills and the desire, they might find it hard to get hired. You know, can't get a job without experience, can't get experience without a job. And that's what brings us to our next story. This is the reason LaunchCode was founded here in St. Louis and why it is spreading to other cities. LaunchCode is not so much about teaching people how to write code, although they can help with that. It's about matching the demand for coders and programmers in the business world with an underutilized supply.
LaunchCode began with an experiment of, can we get companies to agree to hire someone they wouldn't normally hire?
Brendan Lynn is the executive director, and along with Jim McKelvey and others, they founded LaunchCode in 2013.
In 1 month, we got 100 companies signed on, from two-person startups to Fortune 500 companies, to hire people they wouldn't normally consider. And at that point, it just became an experiment that led to a proof point. And really, so it was first 100 companies, then it was, are there people who can do these jobs?
It's a supply-demand issue.
It's a supply-demand issue.
Was there a shortage of supply, a shortage of demand, or was there supply and demand and you just needed to bring them together?
Yeah, it's basically market failure. So there's a shortage of supply, but there also, from companies find a shortage of supply, but there is supply that's looking for opportunities. So really, LaunchCode is about making a connection and bringing them together.
You said companies wouldn't normally hire. What do you mean by that? Why wouldn't they normally be reaching into this pool of programmers and such?
Yeah, most people hire based on who they know, where someone's worked, or a college degree, and that can validate one's ability to do the job, but also keeps incredibly talented people out of opportunities and keeps them from growing. So in what we work to do is to find the untapped talent, people who are driven, motivated, and in many ways have taught themselves things that can enable them to do something that no one thought they could do.
So tell me, there's a couple of things. I think sometimes people think, oh, it's internships, but it's not internships. It's apprenticeships. How important is that distinction there?
I think the rub with internships is that somebody could do 4 internships before they get a job. You kind of internship hop, maybe you start off not getting paid and then eventually you get paid. What we tried to do here was create a program and a model where you do something, you learn, you work hard, and at the end, there's a job waiting for you if you have the skills to really do the job.
And is that working?
It's working perfectly. So it works for companies. It said 90% of companies end up choosing to hire the person at the end of their apprenticeship. And it works for people. So the typical person makes 308% of what they made before their apprenticeship, which completely changes the reality of somebody's life.
Since its start, LaunchCode's placed 300 people in apprenticeships. It's a jobs program, not a technical school, but it does organize online and in-person classes that teach code on various levels. With partners WashU, Harris Stowe, the NAACP, and Centene Corporation, it announced its Summer of Code, classes being offered in various locations starting in June.
Summer of Code is exciting because it's the largest collection of CS classes that we've done to date as LaunchCode in St. Louis.
As part of the class, you get free access to the Mentor Center. And it's not by chance that LaunchCode chose to locate in what was once the state unemployment office on Delmar.
I think it's really, really interesting that we got a building right along the Delmar Divide. You can literally walk and see the difference in what opportunity looks like north and south of Delmar. By being here, it shows that we're committed to making sure that everyone in St. Louis can have opportunity or access to opportunities in technology. I think being in this space shows people like there is something here in your community that you can access day to day. People really do need community. It's actually not enough just to have someone come and show up and watch lectures and work on problem sets. They really need to know that they're going to be in a space that's going to cultivate their learning and their career path from the beginning to the end.
LaunchCode talks about candidates. So tell me about what's a good candidate for this program.
Good candidate is somebody of any background, any age, race, ethnicity, gender. There's no real characteristic that defines a person in a typical sense other than that these people are driven, motivated, and looking for opportunity.
So you started here in St. Louis, but this is not just a local effort. You're expanding beyond this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we opened in Miami last year, and this year we're opening in Kansas City, Providence, Rhode Island, Baltimore, and Minneapolis, and that's just in the first half of this year.
You get a sense that it's changing not just how people view their opportunities, but how companies view that supply. Again, it's the supply and the demand. Are you changing things at both ends of this?
I think we're changing them at both ends. I think companies increasingly realize, especially as they have trouble finding the traditional talent that they're looking for, that companies realize they need to try different ways of finding talent, and the more that they participate in programs like LaunchCode, the more they find that there are talented people that they just weren't considering previously.